I guarantee by the end of this video, you will somewhat change your life, whether through reading, writing, or both, and I can simply prove it through this simple habit. I have been reading and writing for the past year in 2025, and I've learned so much about productivity, the importance of patience, and in particular, the strength that comes with reading and writing. It may sound like a negative connotation when we think about work, but I do firmly believe this will change your life no matter what you do. The simplest, smallest things you can do with reading and writing will shape the fundamental beliefs in your mind to make sure you stay more concise, considerate, and aware of everything around you. If you don't know me, I'm Arnel Arcega. I'm one of the healthiest writers you will ever encounter on this platform. As an author, writer, and motivator, I make sure people stay on this path of reading and writing, and it's a beautiful, simple process. If you want help in your own personal writings, check out my Instagram down below so I can personally help you start working. For now, let's get into how reading and writing can shape the way we look at our lives. This video will be split into two parts of reading and writing. Let's start off with the easy one to explain reading. Many of us do reading in very simple and connotative aspects. What I mean is when we think of reading, it's rather easy to get the gist of it. We open up a book like the one seen here, and then we just read through it from start to finish. What we don't know is all the things going on within that process. One of the most notable things I took into, especially when thinking about 2025, is the sheer focus reading does. For many of us, reading is a habit that we struggle on simply because either we don't have the time or we just don't have the mental energy, which is far from the truth. Even if you are in school or work, yes, you do have the time to pick up a damn book and start reading. While that may seem harsh, I do firmly believe much of the world is struggling simply because they don't understand information. And if we need to understand information better, we need to start reading. The more we read, the better we can attain focus in our minds. The simple idea of just sitting down from one page and then ending it all the way to another allows our mind to think. It allows our mind to be more creative, more fluctuated, and in particular, it gives us a sense of discipline. We don't get better by what we say. We get better by the actions we do. And with reading, it's a simple action that, while repetitive, it is something that will challenge us. It will make us want to finish things a lot more likely, and it truly makes us focus on the things in front of us. Much of us spend our time either in the past or the future, when we need to focus on the present. And the easiest way to stay consistent and to stay focused on every moment around us is just by reading a book. But there is more to reading a book than just the focus that comes with it. The second big thing I want to talk about with books is knowledge. Knowledge in itself is a huge term that many of us feel we get from school, which is easy to understand. I get why. School teaches us a lot of things, but there's some areas that we don't get to see unless we read a book. Sometimes when reading a fictional novel or something like a writing book, we learn much more than our teachers ever anticipate. And with the rise of the internet, specifically AI and social media, it allows us to think more critically of things around us. What I mean is, with these boundaries in mind, with these stepping stones of AI and social media, we can retort back to books. Books give us a sense of knowledge. It gives us a sense of ease in what we read simply because what the author has written is rather credible. For many authors, they've written a passionate project that will either teach us something well diverse or entertain us in a manner that will educate us. In all forms of reading, it will be something that will be taught. And while bad information can be stored within the knowledge of reading, we not only get better at our skills, but we also save plenty of time through this simple process. And I want you to think about that, especially when reading your next fiction or nonfiction books. You could check out my books in the top link of the description to see exactly what I mean. Regardless, reading books will give you a sense of knowledge. It will make you crave more time, and with that in mind, you will miraculously get more time in the process. The final thing I want to illustrate about reading and why I love this process so much is the clear masculine and feminine diversity. I don't usually talk about this topic. For me, I'm a guy who simply teaches about reading and writing. But in the case of reading, this is a huge piece of information that I've learned in the past month alone. When we think of more traditional routes like masculine and feminine, we tend to think of how reading kind of fits into that bill. A while ago, I made a video talking about how men don't read as much, to which my own contradiction hit me. A lot of the people asking for their advice and help when working on their writing projects tend to be people similar to me. Lean but strong men who want to write their story. And when we think of it like that, I do believe there is a sense of a shift. With how divided the world is right now, especially if you check social media, it's good to know that there will always be a sense of ease. Sometimes some of the most beautiful books ever written come from women, and sometimes the most masculine and strengthy kind of stories come from men. Whatever the case is, as a guy, I believe in a more traditional route. I believe that we have to stay to our paths, and that alone, ignoring politics aside, I do believe will make us better. And in the case of reading, it's something so beautiful because we can eliminate this factor no matter if you are a guy or a girl. You need to focus on yourself when we think about reading, and when you gain that knowledge, to gain the focus on oneself, you will not only believe in yourself more, the words you read will shape how you perceive the world. With how much your friends or family influences you, books are another thing that will take you to a whole nother plane. If I'm illustrating how much my life has changed through this stack of books I've read in this year alone, then I guarantee your life will change for the better if you consume the right books. The last piece of advice I do want to talk about is what books to consume. I use this idea plentifully in how much I read, but in the case of these books, I want you to read as much as humanly possible. Take in information you don't usually think about. For instance, I read the book Talk to Me last month, a book about interviews, which I never usually do. I tell stories and I get people hooked in between what I say. But with this book, they help me ask better questions and be more efficient in my process. Similar case applies to The Magic of Ordinary Days, but for a much different cause. It helps me understand what life was like in the 1940s despite being written in the 2000s, and I feel immersed in that world. I feel alive and a sense of creation. It's something beautiful about these two kinds of books. And with my books of writing tools and the supermarket I've been reading, it helps me understand more about reading in a manner that I feel we don't get enough of. But let's talk about the other spectrum of the coin. Let's talk about writing. Writing is tonally and culturally different to reading. Reading, as we perceive it, is a way we get information. It's the idea of reading page 1 to the final page, or reading an article or something along the lines of a start to a finish. We read that in that time and we gain the knowledge for it. Writing, however, is all about creation. It's all about how you perceive your mind and how well we can use what we can to tell better stories. No matter if it's fiction, nonfiction, poetry, or even just an essay, you're telling something from start to finish that will engage a specific audience. By having this audience well hooked and diverse into your writing, you learn a lot more than you honestly expect. The first major thing I do want to think about when we consider that factor in mind is gratitude. As I explained in Talk to Me, I was able to think more deeper questions than I initially began with, and that alone helped me work on my writing. Whether you're trying to tell a story or trying to get a message across, be grateful for what you tried to write simply because you have the power to do so. In our modern age, having Google Docs or Word Docs is insanely prolific. It's an insane margin that we think about simply because this technology did not exist years ago. And with that in mind, it's genuinely shocking to me that anyone around the world, no matter what age, can write a book. It's a beautiful process that, to me at least, feels like an evolution to many authors decades and centuries ago. And that's what I want you to be firstly aware of. I want you to understand the gratitude that comes with it. Be grateful to have this mind, to read this amount of books, and to finally shape it in a manner that will allow you to see and feel more figuratively alive than ever before. You express gratitude in your writing by journaling. Start out with the things that allow you to ask deeper questions, and understand what happens throughout your days. It doesn't have to be much, but when you start this process of manually writing for yourself and less about school or work, that I'm telling you, it's a guaranteed fact that your writing will succeed. But where do we go with this writing? The second big step I want you to think about in this area of writing and how it will change your life specifically is the success to you. With areas like writing and how we can create anything within a docs format, success comes in multiple different forms. What I mean is, for many of us, we don't know where to get started on this path. And the easiest way I felt like getting through with the success and passion is all about figuring out what you want to do. Work with a plan. Work with some idea you've written down in a journal or a piece of notebook, and then come up with what you can illustrate on. Use this information to finally set up your story. You've read all these books, but it's time you start creating. I don't want you to just be a consumer. I want you to be a creator. Someone who creates something passionate, beautiful, and in particular just challenges your own beliefs. The best way to get started at this, the action step in particular, is to just start writing. Start writing a story, an idea, a piece of dialogue almost. When you get down to this fashion, you will excuse me. When you get down to this fashion, you will see the true success in your nature, and it helps you think more critically of how you can start writing. Sometimes the best plans don't come out as plans. You need to just get the idea out fully, and then you could see more ideas from me to get started on where you can evolve. But this is where the final thing I want you to think about when writing, not just in both journaling and writing your own book. The final illustration I want to think about when talking about how reading and writing will change your life, both of these, is to nurture your nature. My favorite term of all time, simply because I love the prose with it. Nurture your nature is all about fixing the areas in your life that you feel you're struggling on. And this is effective and especially important when we know that natures in ourselves can be changed. We honestly see this in our moods, our tones, and the way we act on each emotional day. By having this change in our life, we can see that the more we nurture ourselves to be better readers and writers, the better long-term effects that come with it. Not only do we gain more focus and knowledge in how well we read, but we also appreciate our writing and be more successful from what we create. It's all about the patience aspect. And when you just write more and more, even with time moving left and right, I guarantee you will have a passionate, successful life, all because of the stories you're going to tell. With nurture your nature, exercise well, eat well, and sleep well. Do all the healthier habits, and you will live a fulfilling life along with reading and writing. The more you get down to this, the better, and I appreciate how well we can come along on this path we're going on. I hope you can use this video to change your mind on reading and writing, or just use it to think more critically. If you want help in your own personal writing, for those who started but don't know what to do, then check out my Instagram down below. You can also check out my books to see exactly how I got started as an author and writer. If you want to see more of me, my socials are down there as well. And until next time, keep on reading, keep on writing, and take care.